G'day there guys, it's your main man Markee, back at it again with another episode of r/entitled people. Now if you love this content like I do, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie, and enjoy the video. Posted by user TechnoMickey, titled, "A 17-year-old girl can't be the boss at a delivery service?" Okay then. So I'm not sure if this subreddit is right for my story, but it's similar to the stories I've seen on here, so I'll give it a try. Also, English is not my first language, so please excuse if there are some mistakes. Our cast are me, random mother, and shift supervisor. For context, my co-workers call me boss, since I pretty much take care of everything happening at the store while being on my shift, like making sure the restaurant is clean, packing orders, and telling the delivery guys which one they have to take, correcting the kitchen if they mess up, taking orders, answering phone calls, and so on and so forth. Alright. Story time. I work at a popular delivery service in my state, but we also have a small space that we use as some kind of restaurant. I've been working there for more than half a year, and I really like to go there on school days, to spend my lunch break there and eat something. I was doing exactly that on a day where the delivery part of our store had a lot of orders incoming, so my co-workers barely had time for people ordering at the restaurant. I've watched a family entering the store while enjoying my meal, and since the others had a lot to do, they were at least standing at the registers for 10 minutes. Since I usually work at the cash register, I put my meal aside and take a seat behind the register. I say, "Hey there, may I take your order?" This woman looks at me really confused and lifts an eyebrow. To be fair, I'm the only girl working at the restaurant, by far the youngest one, and I was wearing regular clothes. But I knew that my co-workers were glad that I took over the cash register, so I didn't see a problem. RM says, "I'd like to talk to an employee. What are you even doing behind the register?" "Miss, I am an employee here. I regularly have school today, but I jump in for my co-workers, since as you can see, they have a lot to do right now, so may I please take your order?" Random mother was getting kinda ticked now, since I wouldn't let her talk to an employee. But I didn't really mind. It wasn't the first time that a customer was getting mad. The random mother, now looking at my co-workers, says, "Why is nobody getting her away from the register? Could I please talk to the boss here?" I turned around to my co-workers, and my shift supervisor had a big grin on his face, which was a sign for me that I could continue. Of course, they had a lot to do, but they always keep an eye on me as soon as I'm at the restaurant, due to harassment in the past and because I'm somewhat like their little sister. "Well, you're talking to the boss right now, so may I please take your order?" "Are you kidding me? How fudging old are you?" 17, miss." Random mother was getting really rude now, so my supervisor took the time to come over and help me out a bit. "Hey boss, any problems?" I explained the whole situation to him, and he sent me to do his tasks at the kitchen while he was taking the random mother's order. Her face was priceless as I went back to my meal afterwards, so I could enjoy the rest of my lunch break in peace. This story maybe isn't as exciting as other stories on here, but I really wanted to share it, and maybe it made some of y'all smile. Have a nice day and stay healthy. Posted by user Mopey Dragon, titled, "A firefighter at the scene of a fire. Imagine that." So this happened a couple of months ago, and it made me laugh, so I hope y'all enjoy. It's kind of long, so please bear with me. I should start off with, I am a career firefighter. It's my main job and has been for over a decade now, and for the record, I am off duty during this story. My wife and I were out on a date night in a big city we live just outside of. We love the city, but really don't go down into the town too often. So we had a nice dinner at my wife's favorite restaurant, then went to a small carnival-like setup on the rooftop of a building nearby. It was a fun evening, and as it was getting late, we decided to leave and find something else to do. As we made our way down through the building, which was a very old department store that later served as a government building for a while before being repurposed again, we wandered through some of the stores. We finally made it to the front door of the building, and I heard sirens in the distance. It's at this exact moment that I smell the smoke. Now, having worked for one of the busiest departments in the south, so I know what is burning by the smell of the smoke. We look over, and there is a column of dark smoke and fire coming out of a building. Being that we knew the area well, we immediately knew what building it was. Event space and a kind of weird antique store. We walk up the sidewalk across the street from the building to get a closer look as the firefighters arrived en masse to get the blaze under control. By this point, a crowd has gathered on the sidewalk to watch all of this unfold. My wife was asking me questions because she doesn't ever really get to see me in action. Another story for another time, and I'm explaining how to read the smoke, tell what's going on with the fire, and what the units inside are doing, that kind of stuff. As I'm explaining all of this, the wind shifts and blows some of the smoke around to our direction, not bad enough for any kind of hazard though. As we move to get a better view of what's going on, my wife is short. This woman, I'll call her EB, because she's probably in her late teens or early 20s, looks at us and says while filming on her phone, "Now calm down here guys, I think we're okay. Besides, we were here first and you're standing in the way of my shot," in a sarcastic and smug tone. And her boyfriend let out a snort of laughter. I should mention here that we were standing about 6 foot from the side of her, but I'm guessing they heard us talking about everything. And without missing a beat, my spitfire of a wife deadpan looks at her and says, in the sweetest southern accent you've ever heard, "Yeah? Well, he's a fireman, so I think he probably knows a lot more about what's going on than you do." Cue the colour draining from entitled Brat's face and her eyes getting as big as saucers as she puts down her phone. If she had tried to backpedal any faster, she would have ended up in last week. Entitled Brat, looking at me now, says, So do you think we're okay here? Or do you think we need to move? What are they doing in there now?" Her boyfriend didn't say anything. He just kept his eyes glued to the ground and his head down. I respond professionally and respectfully answering her questions, pretty much the same ones that I just explained to my wife, and my wife and I take our leave as the fire was now out. But as soon as we got out of earshot, I burst out laughing. Posted by user AnkyVan, titled, "You are speaking to the manager." I used to work for a well-known fashion brand as an accountant. My title was very posh sounding, but I was an accountant. My nephew was studying fashion, so to help him, I got a job in one of our higher-end fashion brands. It carried knockoff designer clothes, but designed by the actual designer. Something like a dress worn to the BAFTAs, but more affordable. My office was around the corner from where my nephew was working, so some days I would drop by and give him lunch. On this specific day, I was just about to open the shop's door when I get pushed out of the way by some 20-something Karen/Becky with a bad dye job and dressed head to toe in knockoff designer gear. Louis Vuitton bag to her Chanel ballet flats. I wait for my nephew to help an actual customer, then we can have lunch. I hear Karen/Becky in a very nasal voice, trying to sound posh. "Well, I know for a fact this dress also comes in pink, and I want the pink one." Now, I'm nosy, so I walk closer to see how my nephew handles this. He politely just tells her that this specific dress is only available in dusty rose, and maybe it was another designer she was thinking of. Again in the nasal voice. "Well, online, you advertise this dress in pink, so I want a discount because it's false advertising." Right there is where I decide to intervene. In my sweetest voice, I ask her, "Is there a problem here?" She was obviously a bit thrown by this, but since I am dressed in a suit from our brand, she probably thought manager. "Yes, I want a discount for this dress because you advertise it online as pink and this is not pink." Honey, if you can't afford our clothes at retail and have to come up with such a feeble reason to demand a discount, I suggest you go buy your clothes at George. I look at her Louis Vuitton bag and then back at her. "How dare you? I want to speak to your boss." I hand her my business card with my posh-sounding title for accountant, and she just stares at it and walks out in a huff. Posted by user KJoel, titled, "Yes, I am the server owner." I run an emotional support Discord server, and while I was taking a break for a week, so I can catch up on some schoolwork, I had a few people join just to interact with others, which I didn't mind, and my moderators caught me up on what I missed before I went offline again. When I came back after my break, I was caught in the middle of an argument. Turns out that one of them started ordering people around, and the moderators were trying to calm them down. When I had stepped up and said that they would have to calm down, or they would have to be banned, because what they were saying and doing was way against the rules. They claimed that none of us were the owner, so I couldn't ban them. She called them staff. I informed them I was the owner, and they were the moderators/staff, and kicked her so that she wouldn't make any more drama and backtrack anyone's work with patience. It ended up her needing to be banned and her being reported. Turned out she didn't even read the rules either, so that would explain her not knowing I was the owner, as I have made it so only I can make the rules. I hope I put this in the right Reddits. I haven't made any true good posts other than questions and a few small ARGs. Posted by user RubySage718, titled, "Apparently Platinum Blonde Wigs Make Me a Volunteer?" This happened last year near Halloween. I work at a library where on the week before, we get an email saying that we can dress up for the trick-or-treat around the library. There are several stalls where kids can come up to the desk and get stickers, rings, and other things. No candy. I dressed up the previous year, 2017, as Sam from Supernatural. But this time, I wanted to dress up as Gwen from Spider-Verse. Well, I couldn't do her as Spider-Gwen, have to be family appropriate, and I was too embarrassed to do it. I could dress up as her in the school uniform at the beginning of the movie. I got the whole shebang. Tartan skirt, white shirt, black tights and shoes, and a platinum blonde wig. Now, I'm a brunette, though it's more of a black due to my father being Hispanic. So when I came into work with a really bright new style, my co-workers didn't recognize me. Several of them thought that I was a new hire or that I was a patron. I laughed thinking this would be fun. What happened was a bit weird. While a lot of people didn't recognize me on the desk until I started talking to them, a few did something a bit off. I would wave and say hi, and they would look at me funny, do a long pass, then go to my co-worker's desk on the other side. The first few times it happened, I just shrugged it off about being shy, but after the 5th time, I started waving people back saying they could come over here. Several of them just stared at my wig, and a few started asking questions about how long I've been in town. One of them, a little old lady, asked me if I like living here. I tell her, well, I have been here for over 15 years, so I quite like it. She then went on to say things I should check out, and I just nodded along, saying that I have done pretty much all of them. Wait, so you live here? Me, thinking I just said that, said, yes, miss, and I've been working here for a number of years. Oh, I thought you were a volunteer. So, an overall strange day. Sorry for the lack of Karens, but I thought it was a funny story. Posted by user Liz Reptile, titled, "Pizza delivery to a rude, nasty, condescending, and rich Karen while I was 8 months pregnant for a weird reason." Preface: I am reposting this, so sorry if you've read it before. I made a huge error in how I put the title, and I respect the mods for removing it. I hope they let this one stay up. I enjoyed all the commentary, and also the advice of others on better ways I could have stated the title without being offensive to anyone. I really would like this story to remain. If it is removed again, I won't attempt to post it further. Also, a disclaimer as well, I would like to state, I am not trying to be offensive to infertile women, just am pointing out her absurd reasoning for being rude to me, instead of being happy for me, or at least indifferent. I have a lot of respect for women with troubles like that. You will understand why I say this later on. On with the story. This happened 15 years ago. My daughter is now a wonderful person too, definitely not a Karen. I worked at a pizza place with a red hat logo, as a driver, while I was very, very pregnant. I had ordered a new work shirt as I had gotten way too big in the belly to have my shirt cover my belly bump. My watermelon-style belly was getting rather round due to all the free pizza I was getting from my managers that wanted to help my skinny butt grow a baby better. Well, I was allowed to wear a plain black t-shirt as long as I had my name tag and hat on until a new shirt arrived the next day. I'd gotten a free delivery run in the very rich area of town called Feather Sound. At first, I was really happy because this area was known for its great tips. And when you're a driver, you want all the tips you can get because you're not reimbursed for your fuel costs, except $1 a run minimum, and this was during a time where gas prices were the worst we'd seen in like 8 years. These people had ordered a huge amount of food, 15 boxes of medium pizzas altogether. They had a sale on medium pizzas at the time. I walked up the door first with no pizza to make sure I got the right address and to see if anyone would want to help grab so many boxes, as I was rather obviously fat with baby. I get to the door and the almost typical Karen woman, minus the blonde hair and instead had a black Dorothy Day-like hair, answering it almost yells at me before I can speak. "Who are you? Who invited you to the party?" Very rudely. I hesitate for a split second in a bit of a shock and say, "Sorry ma'am, I had to order a new work shirt, but I'm your delivery driver Liz for your pizza order." She states to me rudely, but not as bad, "But where is the pizza then? And why are you pregnant?" She said that last word with some disgust in her voice. I said as nicely as I could at first, "Ma'am, I'm sorry for any confusion, but since it was such a large order, I wanted to check if this was the right door, and to see if possibly someone could help me carry the 15 boxes up to your lovely home." It was a McMansion with a long walk from the curb to the front, and I had a small oil leak in my car and didn't even dare to ask to use her pristine drive. And I'm pregnant because, well, it happens when you get married. I said the last sentence a tiny bit condescending as she was scowling at me. She then started to go on a long diatribe of how she was not going to help me or have anyone help me as, pregnant or not, it is your job to serve me, and how nothing better be eaten or I will call and get you fired. I got really sick of her attitude, and my feet were hurting from being on them all day in my current condition. So I just said, "No problem," and walked to the car while she was still talking. I know she was technically in the right, but it doesn't hurt to see if someone doesn't have a heart, or possibly a spare kid to lend me for a few minutes to get everything taken care of faster. I decided to be a bit of a dick and stack all 15 pizzas and walked carefully to the door so I could get away from her as fast as I could. She was standing there, realizing I had enough of her, with her arms crossed, and stood away from the doorway and said, "Put them on the table inside, now." I realized that she was just being an a-hole, as I saw many children, about 12 to 15 years old, that could have helped out, or at least gotten them from the door to the table, as there was policy that we were never to enter a home due to risks of mugging or other attacks. I didn't want to fight her at this point, and wanted away from her, so as I passed her into the home, I said, "Ma'am, it is policy that we don't enter the house, but since this is just too many to try to take out of my arms, I will quickly do it." This turned out to be the best thing, because as I got to the table, her sweet husband saw me from the kitchen, and he realized what was going on, as his wife had started tramping again about poor service, and stating again that your pregnant self better not have eaten any of her sweet children's food. Once I gave her the receipt and the total, then I got back to the door. Her husband got really red in the face, and as she started to hand me a check, which I could see that she had left me literally 5 cents as a tip, he grabbed it from her quietly, read the amounts, and gave her a face that said, "Shut up, Karen." He then proceeded to hand me in cash the cost of the food and a $50 tip. She was silent as this happened, and kept her head low, and one of the children then said, "Wow, that is so much pizza, Mummy. Why did you have her take it all up? We could have helped. Like last time we had a party, and helped that old man." This statement got her really bugged out eyes, as I just smiled and thanked them both for ordering with our pizza place. As the door shut, you could see that her husband was glaring at her, and her eyes were the size of dinner plates. As I got to the car, I could hear the faint stern voice of the husband, which sounded like he was laying into her. When I got back to the restaurant, apparently the husband called to apologize to the nice pregnant woman for his horrible wife's treatment, as she always gets nasty to pregnant women, as she had to adopt all of their children. What a nice husband, dude. I hope she learns not to be a dick to women just because they are with child and she is unable to birth a child. I do respect her for adopting at least more than one child, not to mention adopting even one child. I got some much needed baby items with that $50, just despite her rudeness. Final commentary, pardon any errors as I am dyslexic. If anyone wishes to share this on YouTube or other platforms, you may. Just comment with a link to it, please. Thanks again. Mods for understanding, I am sometimes not very smart. Alright, I'll have a link to this one in the comments, just because OP asked. Posted by user Chap Delane. Titled, Obviously oblivious. I originally posted that story in the r/idontworkherelady subreddit, and someone pointed me to this one. English is my second language. As a good French Canadian, let me apologize abundantly in advance for all the inconveniences it may cause. So here it goes. Between 2011 and 2015, I worked kinda full-time for the Quebec's version of that big Canadian sports equipment retailer. My Canadian fellows would know exactly which one. I liked that job because I enjoyed helping clients, as I felt more like an expert than a mere seller. We were trained monthly on new products, and they wanted us to be experts in our fields. We were also encouraged to be helpful and to take our time with the customers. We didn't have a particular dressing code, but each employee would wear a bright royal blue nylon and zipper vest with the name of the store on the back, the logo on the front, and our name tags. Not at all conspicuous. Nonetheless, people, mostly older ladies, would ask me if I work here. I was always baffled by that since my obvious bright blue royal nylon vest with a name tag, but I assumed it was because we were young employees. Almost everyone was university or college students in their 20s, and we would look a lot like most of our customers. From across the aisles, maybe it wasn't so obvious for an older lady that I wasn't just a young-looking fella. It never bothered me more than it intrigued me when it would happen, and I started fantasizing on the idea of someday just answer no and see what happens. That particular week, I had to work longer shifts than usual because of some sale we had going, and the store was quite busy. We were just past supper, and I was at that point where I would keep looking at the clock, but it didn't seem to move. The evening shift had been busy so far, so it was slacking down. We were just starting to breathe a little from the supper rush, so I started working on some facing that needed some love and attention. A lady in her late 50s or so that I didn't saw comes out of nowhere, right in front of me, and asks politely, "So, young man, do you work here?" I'm literally holding a bunch of Crocs in my hands, and literally placing them on display, wearing my nylon blue royal zipper sport vest with 52 logos and my freaking name on it. I didn't know what happened, since I'm a polite man and always took great care in the way that I would approach our clients. Maybe I was tired, I don't know, but it felt too much and something snapped. For once, I was legit way too choked by the apparent stupidity of asking me that question, especially at this precise moment when it seems, to me at least, quite obvious that I was indeed working here. I looked at her straight in the eyes. I look down at my vest and my Crocs. These are my Crocs. Look back at her. Look back at my vest. I didn't want to answer. I wanted to give her the time to take a tiny, tiny better look at me and noticed my vest and the Crocs. The nice lady is nice, you know? She approached me politely. She's not a Karen or entitled. I'm the problem here. She keeps looking at me with those honest interrogation marks in her eyes. It's been 2 or 3 seconds of awkward silence. I felt it boiling inside. I gave her a chance. Nope, she doesn't see it. It's gonna happen soon if she doesn't see it. Oh, screw it, I'll do it. It's happening. Sorry, ma'am, I don't work here. And I just go back to putting those Crocs on display. She goes, "Oh, sorry," and then just turns around and keeps looking for an employee. First of all, I'm bewildered, positively confounded. She obviously had no clues whatsoever, despite all the signs that I worked here. I didn't know it was possible, and I'm impressed in some way. But then I immediately regretted it. I never thought she would buy it, but she did, and now I feel bad and I can't go back to her without looking like a big idiot. No, sorry ma'am, I was joking. I do work here. How can I help you? She wasn't angry at all for my poor joke, and said something like, "Oh my, I wasn't sure, I must admit." I served her, and she left, and everything was alright. But I had my lesson. Most of the people, when they ask you if you work here, whether you actually work there or not, they legitimately have no idea whatsoever, no matter how obvious you think the answer is. Posted by user PH1Basic, titled, "But I am the CEO of this company. Grrr." Hello everyone. This is my story that happened when I first opened up my company, insurance agency. I opened up my company when I was 24, but was in the industry since 20. Not a lot of experience, but enough knowledge to open up my own business. I look a bit younger than my age due to the way I dress casually and the baby face, I guess. A little background about my company is, I am an insurance broker that connects insurance companies with my clients, and I get commission if the insurance policy is sold. The wholesalers are the middleman that receives the quote requests from me, and they submit it to the actual insurance companies, and they forward the quote to me, and I show that to the client, and if I succeed in selling that, I get 10%, and the wholesaler gets 5% of the insurance premium. Here is the cast. Me, obviously me. Could have been potential insurance carrier wholesaler whom I would submit to and get quotes and start an insurance policy is C, friend who helps. Part-time is F. One day I was running late due to personal reasons, winky face, but my friend who was helping me part-time calls me saying that there is a potential insurance company wholesaler that was going to come in about 30 minutes. I rush over, but was dressed a bit casual. T-shirts, skinny jeans, and sneakers. I come in and my friend walks out to get some coffee and smoke a cigarette. Couple of minutes after working, the wholesale company employee walks in and says, "Hi, I'm from blah wholesale company. I am here to meet Alex," which would be myself, but I am not named Alex IRL. It was a hot day in the summer, so he was a bit sweaty. I say, "Hey, how you doing? Take a seat in the meeting room. We'll meet you shortly." C walks into the meeting room, taking a seat at one of the chairs. As I was waiting for my friend to come back, I hear C calling for me, saying, "Hey, can I get some iced coffee? I guess you guys don't offer any drinks, huh?" What the heck is wrong with this dude? I mean, yeah, I could have offered some drink, but damn. "Sorry, but we only have water or hot coffee." He says, "It's hot outside. I can't drink something hot. Can you run downstairs and get me some iced coffee? And you can keep the change," handing me a $5 bill. Huh? Excuse me? I'm not going to run downstairs to get you iced coffee. Please get it yourself. When you leave, do you want water? It's pretty cold. Friend walks in, and he was a bit more dressed up than I was. He's wearing a button-down shirt with khakis. He says, "Hi? You must be from the wholesaler company." "Ah, you must be Alex. It's a pleasure to meet you. Was asking a worker to get me some iced coffee downstairs, but he seems like he doesn't get it." "Sorry, but I'm not Alex. He's Alex," pointing at me. "Oh. Seems like I didn't introduce myself. I am Alex, and I think you may leave now and get your coffee on your way out." And he left my office. Friend bursted out laughing. The wholesaling company was a good company, but there are other ones with potentials that could have done the same thing. In the end, I got a call from the wholesale company asking if they could stop by again, and I said no. Posted by user Anki Van, titled, "Male Nurses Are Bad Ass." I did my nurse training in the late 90s, and it was also the year that we had quite a few ex-soldiers, male, that joined, and one particular was ex-Special Forces. He looked like he could snap you in half with a look, but was the most gentle and caring nurse I ever worked with. We were working together in the eye ward on this particular day when the doctors came around to do their rounds. They all get their assignments and go off to see their patients. We had an old fella who was up for cataract surgery in the afternoon and was giving the student nurses hell. Mostly misogynistic crap like pinching our bottoms and trying to rub up on us. The only female doctor on duty that day gets to do his pre-op, and he was a total lech. Halfway through the interview, which I must give her kudos for, she did it very professionally, he asks for a bedpan. Now, this was pre-op, so he was able to walk around, which he did a lot. The ex-Special Forces nurse just happened to walk past, and he came over to the old lech. He says, "She's your doctor, sir, and I'm your nurse. Allow me to walk you to the toilet." He very firmly helps the old man out of the bed and marches him to the toilet. Then we hear him say, "So you want me to hold your penis, sir? I hear you can't." I think that was the last time that old man ever asked for a bedpan, even after surgery when his eyes was taped shut. Ooh. Alright guys, that's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this one today. Tell me what you thought of it down in the comments below. If you're not subscribed to the channel, I would love you to subscribe because I love your face and I love seeing you here every single day that you are here in this video. I don't know what else to say today guys. I hope you enjoyed the content. I do have a second channel that's called Markee 2. Link should be up on the screen somewhere here if you don't have adblock installed. If you don't know where to find the channel, you can go to my main page. Just click on the Markee face and it should be on the right somewhere there, or on channels if you're on phone. Hope you guys have a good one. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.